won't give me the right medicine. You want me right? What?
I was maybe 12 or 13 going to a haunted house that was in a series of trailers in a parking lot. I believe there was a local radio station that put it on. It scared the hell out of me. And the main thing that I remember in there is there was a judge, and we all had to stand along a back wall, and the judge singled me out, pulled me from my group, and made me go through my own tunnel by myself in the dark, and then I eventually linked back up with my group that I was with, my friends. It scared the snot out of me, and I'll never forget that. That was crazy. So when I was a kid, most of the haunted houses were run by the JCs or other charitable organizations. Now they're run for more professional reasons for businesses. And basically what I do is I build scenes, sets, and then we bring in 100 to 150 actors and other support cast that help us run the haunted house. Those support casts are anyone from parking staff, we have an axe throwing booth, we serve food, we have merchandise, we have roamers that roam around the property in highly decorated costumes that scare people while they're in line and entertain them. We have a 20 by 10 video screen that shows YouTube fail videos and movie clips and music videos. We have a makeup team of 5 or 6 people that do airbrush makeup on our actors prior to us opening, and they have about 2.5 hours to do approximately 100 faces. So on the off season, we build the scenes, highly decorate them, so our customers feel like they're really in that environment as they're going through. I was interested in going into graphic arts. So I was doing an internship at a graphic arts place in New Berlin, where I grew up and where I lived at the time. And I noticed that all of the workers that made any significant money kept getting laid off. So I didn't want to spend my entire life not knowing when my next paycheck would come in or if I was going to be applying for unemployment all the time. So I was already enrolled in college, and I looked over the course list, and funeral directing was on the course list. Since my grandfather originally owned a funeral home and my uncle had owned a funeral home, that I would give it a try. So I immediately got out of the graphic arts department at the college and enrolled in the funeral service department. I really enjoyed funeral directing at the beginning when I was helping families out and making arrangements and scheduling funerals. I became a manager probably 5 years after I got my funeral director's license, I think. the management part of the job started to take over from the actual funeral directing job. So I started to do a lot of reports and a lot of paperwork, and I wasn't really doing the funeral director part of it anymore. So the job started to get less gratifying, I would say. When I finally put in my 2 weeks notice to my manager, I thought, God, am I doing the right thing? Almost like buyer's remorse, like, did I make the right decision? And I had to continue to work at the funeral home to honor my 2 weeks notice, but Matt Berg and Matt Mars started working here, tearing things out, and the roof had multiple holes in it. Every time it rained, there were puddles all over the floors. Because of that, the floors were rotted through. We had to replace 100% of the floors in the center section, which is the old wedding hall. Soffits outside were all rotted and falling off. There were no gutters on the building. The paint was all chipped off. The front overhang was falling over, and the grounds were completely overgrown. Before we bought this place, it sat abandoned for 15 years. The Vance's family owned it up until that point, and we took it over after that point.
My dad bought the property in 1947, right after World War II. And he built a garage, and it opened up in 1949. So that was the garage business with the tow trucks and the gas pumps, and that started it. Before he decided to go into the tavern business, and he had the garage, my Uncle Freddie, my dad's brother, said, John, why don't you build a little coffee shop on the side there, so when you're working on people's cars, they can go have coffee, they can have lunch or something like that. So he did that. And then it got into where my dad would get a call with a tow truck to pull somebody out of the ditch, or there was an accident. So my dad would get up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, get dressed, go out and go tow a truck in or a car. And sometimes the guy would say, I don't have any money. I can't pay you. So my dad would be up, go do his job, and he would come home and he didn't get any money, he didn't get paid for it. That was long before credit cards and all that stuff was popular. That happened about 3 or 4 times, and my Uncle Freddie said, John, why don't you turn that into an 18-year-old beer joint, because that's what, there was a lot of those in the county. Right? Easy money. You don't have to get out of bed at 3 in the morning. You don't have to, some guy might stick you up. I don't know what goes on there, and out on the road. But so he took it, he locked the garage key, the overhead door. He locked it, and he locked the office door where the phone was. And he took the key and he threw it out in the cornfield. He said, that's it. He said, that door will never be open again. So that was a big deal. That was an easy one after he saw how much money we were making at the bar. And then he got the fever of making everything that he touched in the tavern. Then he built that big addition in 1973. During the 1980s and into the 90s, everybody wanted to be a cowboy, and country music, we had people standing in line to get in on a Saturday night, and the place was just packed. We had a chance to showcase our Pony Express band, and they loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vance's Bar proudly presents the Pony Express. When
Jack was booking these, he had asked for the Pony Express to be the front band because they fit in so well. They were a great band. We've got great memories, not only business-wise, but we made so many friends. And we had people coming from Iowa, Michigan, of course Illinois, and around the Midwest just for our shows. We had a huge mailing list. When you have a show like that, you get new people that haven't been there before, and they see what we had and how we treated everybody and how welcome we made everyone feel, and it grew our business. We were doing 7 figures yearly, and it was a heyday. It really worked out great. The sad part that I remember that hurt was when my dad died, 1979, February. He was 62 years old. And it was quite a burden for my mother at that point, because she was in her late 50s, and now what do we do? My mom was not afraid to pick up a hammer or cleaning. She had the 4 kids. My mother was the waitress also. If something had to be done, she'd do it, or she'd help. She helped strategize a lot of the things that we did. My brother and I, Jack, would come up with these ideas. Let's do this, let's do that. My mother would kind of go through the scheme and clean it up a little bit. Well, if we do this, we're going to suffer for that, or we can't do one thing or another. She was behind my dad, and I have to give my mother a lot of credit, because my dad was a hard guy to get along with. My mother was a saint by any way of description you could call it. She was tough, a tough old German girl, and see, she was 92 when she passed away. There was a little bit of turmoil inside of our family. I'm being the youngest of the family, and I'm running the family business. And it happens with many families. It certainly wasn't just ours, but it was sad that our family was being torn apart, so my mother did put it up for sale, and she got some ridiculous offers. It was a mess. We didn't even want the place. It was raccoons living in there. It was a mess. So it was sold.
When you heard that the building would be turning into a haunted house, how did you react to that?
I thought, that's never going to work. That's not going to happen. What's this guy thinking about, And I said, well, you just don't know. But I knew that it was done being a tavern. I just had to stop in and find out who this guy was and what he was thinking, and I was impressed. And now the torch is passed to another way that entertains people, and that's what that building was for. No matter what it was for, in our case, music, country music, and throwing beer across the bar. Now it's being done in a different way, and in a more exciting way. I went through it during the day, and it scared the daylights out of me. So my brother Jack and my sister Peg, we went through that together. And quite impressed. Very happy to see that. Glad to see it not sitting there empty.
On our opening night, after the 1.5 years of building, I think we opened at 6:30, and I don't think we've got many customers, if any, until 7:15. Probably the longest 45 minutes of my life. I thought, oh no, what did I get myself into? There was a lot of anxiety and stress that this was gonna work out. I talked to many people about what I was getting myself into and what I was doing. And other than my immediate group, like Matt Mars, Matt Berg, who were in with me in this process, and of course the support of my wife and family. I don't think there was anybody outside my family that thought that this was a good idea.
Now you're being rude because I was rude. That's you don't have to be.
When we first bought this property, it was in such rough shape that I knew that we had a lot of work to do. And I can remember we had a 30-yard dumpster, and we ordered a 30-yard dumpster, and we thought, oh my God, is this thing gonna be too big? And I think we filled up 6 of them before we even started building anything with just stuff. But what's kind of cool is to see what the building was before, what it originally was, and what it's become.
He reaches in.
I think a lot of our employees are maybe the misfits in high school or society, and this place, they have a common bond with everybody else, and they're respected and they're treated well. And I think it's a great place for all these people to kind of come together and have an outlet that they can scare the heck out of people, but yet it's more of a family behind the scenes. So, you know, these people are making friends that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. I mean, they spend a lot of time together on the off season. They keep in touch all year long, and they can't wait to get back here the following year to be able to see their friends again and also scare the hell out of some people. But yeah, I think the environment that we are making for some of our employees, it's really cool. I think it's a cool place to be. The relationships that are built from here mean so much to everybody here. I mean, I've made lifelong friends here. I don't think there's anybody that is here that can say that they didn't make a friend or two while they were working here. You know, of course, after the Vance family sold it, it went downhill, was neglected, and then to see it resurrected and still being able to live on and entertain people, to me has been super cool. I know that the Vance family and I, from day one, have kept in touch. It's just really neat to have the respect from them and then have the respect for them that we have. And it's been just a really neat, fun relationship. And it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to them. And so it's cool to see this place live on. And I hope it does for many, many years.
Your dad looks like this and leaves you in the basement?
Yes, and they won't call DCFS. They leave me in the basement, and I sweep a concrete floor.
Oh.
And then they let me out for the party when everybody comes to our house.
Nice.
And I get to say hi to all the townspeople. They're very ugly, but we look past that.
They're very ugly.
Yes.
Yes.
There's so much ugly over there. It's unbelievable.
Oh no.
I'm going to go to the sharks.
All right. Hi guys, come on up. It's free digital photo. I sent it to you.